Hello, welcome back to Shrewsbury Film Society Online. Our film choice this time is the 1987 French film Au revoir les enfants, or Goodbye Children, directed by Louis Malle. Malle directed around 20 feature films, as well as a very large number of documentaries between 1958 and 1994. In fact, we showed his first feature film, Elevator to the Scaffold, at the Hive a few years ago. Au revoir les enfants is probably Malle's most successful and best-known film. Not only did it win a lot of awards on first release, including the Best Film Prize at the Venice Film Festival, but it also did very well at the box office, and in subsequent years it's been revived and re-released fairly regularly. Malle narrates how the film is heavily autobiographical. During the Second World War, he and his older brother both went to a boarding school in France that is pretty similar to the one shown in the film, and they also experienced events that are quite similar to the ones depicted in this film, including, in fact, the chase through the forest. But it's worth knowing that the character of Joseph the Kitchen Hand is entirely fictional, and Malle added it because he felt it made for a better narrative. Malle also, interestingly, says that this is the only film in which he tried to give an accurate portrayal of his own mother. You'll see her at the beginning of the film saying farewell to Malle, or Malle's alter ego in this film, at the railway station as he boards the train back to boarding school. And then you'll see her again in the second longer scene in the second half of the film when they have dinner together in a restaurant. Although this is a film about the Second World War and about the Nazi occupation of France, Malle has said on more than one occasion, in fact, that he was frustrated by people who saw it simply as a story about the behaviour of the Nazis and the consequences of that behaviour. For him, it was very much a film about the friendships between children, about how children adapt to new circumstances, and also about French society and about the behaviour and attitudes, particularly of the upper middle class from which he himself came. Malle had in fact wanted to make this film for a long time before he was finally able to do so in the mid-1980s. In pushing ahead with it, he was building on both the fictional universe of an earlier film he made about the Second World War and the German occupation of France called La Comme Lucienne, which came out in 1974. And he was also very much influenced by the very influential, enormously long documentary from 1969 by Marcel Opels called The Sorrow and the Pity, which documented the reality of collaboration during the time of the German occupation. That was a film that proved to be very unpopular with many parts of the French population, was in fact not shown on French television, even though French TV had originally commissioned it, and Malle and his brother helped to arrange its distribution in cinemas across France. So Malle very much wanted to be able to give both support to documentaries and to show in his own fiction the realities and complexities of living under occupation. Malle has said in various interviews that he felt he was often the subject of some resentment as a film director because he actually did come from a very wealthy family, and this almost certainly made it easier for him to raise funds for his film projects. He pointed out that even the great filmmaker Jean Renoir had to finance himself by selling paintings by his father, the Impressionist painter Auguste Renoir, and nobody ever held that against him. So Malle also felt that people shouldn't hold against him the fact that he was relatively well-to-do. Nonetheless, it may be that Malle's relative financial security explains why he wasn't perhaps quite as highly regarded as many of his contemporaries. Truffaut, Godard, Jacques Rivette, Agnès Varda, Claude Chabrol, and so on are often named as the most important influential French film directors of that time, the 60s and 70s and 80s, and Mal tends to be seen perhaps as somewhat below them in the pantheon. But this perhaps could also be because Mal didn't really have a very distinctive style. He made a lot of terrific films, but each of them was very different, and you can't really look at a Mal film and recognise it as one by him in the same way that you can look at a film by many of the others, Chabrol, Rivette, Godard and so on, and clearly identify a directorial style. In spite of that, I think there were some repeated themes in his work. He certainly liked to look back to the past, and he was certainly interested in the theme of betrayal, and those are both very much themes in this film. We think this is a great film. It stands up remarkably well, nearly 35 years on, and we really hope you enjoy it as much as we do, and we look forward to discussing it with you on Zoom. Thank you.